6. It's Shmuel Bet, Perek Yud Aleph. We are about to file for chapter 11. Here we are. And I want to just say some prefatory remarks before we actually get underway. Needless to say, one of the most complex pieces in all, I would say, all of Tanakh from a moral perspective, and we will not really do much more than scratch the surface today about the subject of the prakim that are upon us. We'll start first just with a foray into the world of Pshat, just to understand some aspects of the story on the level of Pshat before we involve any other layers. We won't get to most of those layers today. Books and books and books have been written on this subject, and those books have been written by various hands. Loving hands and hateful hands, political hands and literary hands. These are not the same thing. They are all of a kind, and we will have to resist the temptation to put the koteret, as I resist the temptation to put the title over here, "Should there be an impeachment hearing?" Question mark. When you read this chapter, you have to keep resisting. Well, I see my political moment. Well, wait, let's be careful. Hold on, before we draw comparisons to contemporary political leaders and David Malka Mashiach. To begin is really to begin as we began this morning. For those who opened the siddur with davening this morning, so we know already that we already spent some time with David HaMelech this morning, that the sages of blessed memory, the Anshe Knesset Gdola, give us the mainstay of the Psukei Zimra, of the prayers with which we get ready to stand for the Amida Lifnei Hashem, to stand before Hashem in the Amida, which during the week we call the Shemona Esrei, right? Is Psukei Zimra, where we refer to Uvishirei David Avdecha Nahalelchon Shabechon Fa'ercha V'nazkir Shimcha V'namlicha Malkeinu L'keinu. We are going to use the words of David, with the songs of David, your servant. Will we praise you and exalt you, and it's all these different adjectives describing God, and we will crown you, we will coronate you using the words of David, your servant. It is inescapable that by the time we've reached the end of the Amidah, we've mentioned David HaMelech on a weekday, again, of course, not only in Vayivarech David, where we mentioned his name, or the fact that he is the author to whom is ascribed Sefer Tehillim. That's why we said V'shirei David Avdecha. But in the Amidah, we refer not only to the bracha of Bonei Yerushalayim, where the word, the name of David, and his throne is mentioned, but then we come to a bracha at Tzemach David, Avdecha Meheret Atzmiach. We have David and David mentioned in two brachot back to back. So this only exacerbates the problematic of what we're going to read now in the section that we're going into, because the given in the problem, and that's not up for grabs, the given in the problem is that David HaMelech is always and forever with us in so many aspects of tefillah, and I would argue in other realms as well, surrounding the world of liturgy, etc. Look at the actual slichot, the canon of the slichot, how much of it is culled from David HaMelech's own words. Look at the bracha on the Haftorah, which refers to David, Ki v'shem kodshcha nishbata lo shelo yichben erod olam va'ed, right? With your holy name, you promise that his lamp will never go out. Baruch atah Hashem magen David, you are the shield of David. So on some level, God is the shield of David, and on a certain level, it would seem that we, of necessity, and we have to understand, well, what kind of necessity, seem to end the story with referring to, in a way, ourselves as being the Magen David. And I don't mean the symbol, I mean the shield of David, of his legacy. But how can we get, do we have to end there? I think the Psak Halacha on this is clear. We have to get there at the end. But none of that means that we have to, as the Tanakh does not, whitewash what actually transpired. Very complicated and complex from a moral perspective. We talked about this more than a decade ago when we were in Shmuel Bet previously. But who remembers what happened a decade ago? We're doing it again. So hopefully we'll see it with fresh eyes. And one other prefatory remark is that, of course, aside from where Anshe Knesset Gdola put David HaMelech into as a central figure in the liturgy, and aside from the reality that, of course, the Sidur of the Jewish people is Sefer Tehillim. Right now with the Cholim, this Not one, I was mentioning some of the way, and there's two WhatsApp groups that are going. It maxes out at 256 participants, 24 hours a day. There's someone in the world is saying to Tehillim, for Cholim, and it's going and it's going. It's two groups now, going back and forth. Now, aside from all of that, the telos of history, that is to say, what we consider to be this phase of human history, culminates in the arrival of Mashiach Tzidkenu, the anointed one, the righteous anointed one, who is actually a Mashiach ben David. So to begin with a dismissive or derisive air about David HaMelech, I do not believe this is permissible to us. And many are the caricatures that have been drawn about David HaMelech. But when we learn, first we should learn on the level of Pshat, because Pshat means the direct understanding of how Tanakh communicates what actually happened. But as we've learned until now, everything else we've learned in these studies is always and forever with reference to, okay, that's a Torah Shebichtav. Is there a Torah Sheba'al Peh? And recognizing that when the Torah Shebichtav and Torah Sheba'al Peh seem to be, and in fact here will very much seem to be, at loggerheads, how do we reconcile the two? Is it people saying, well, we'll just ignore what's written in Tanakh and say, well, it can't mean that, so it means something else? Is that the answer? There are those who answer that. Is it, this is just an ex post facto justification not related to the complexity of the story? There's also that claim. We'll have to go into it as we go. Comments before we get started with the Psukim?
Just a quick question before you start. Is David and Avraham the only two that we refer to with Magen Avraham, Shield of Abraham?
Magen Avraham and Magen David? Yes.
Is there
Yes.
commentary on why it's those two?
Not that we will get to today.
Okay.
But there's something there. A shield.
But I'm thinking
Protector.
a
God is the
shield.
protector of. He's the Magen of Avraham and he's the Magen of David. I mean, that's what it is. In the Torah, actually, in chapter 15 in Sefer Bereshit, it actually says, Anochi Magen lach, Hashem says to Avram Avinu, I will be your protector. I will be your shield, defender of your legacy, something like that, right? So it's already there. David, a little more complicated. We will get there. The beginning of the parak, of course, is page 376, pasuk bet. And so it was at the time of evening. The time of evening is a time of confusion. It's not day and it's not night. Some say it means it's the afternoon. It's some time period of murkiness. And I don't think that's accidental. And since no one shouted, I will say it against myself, I skipped Pasuk Aleph. I probably should have said Pasuk Aleph first. But since I started talking about David and his the murkiness and the events with Bathsheba, with Uriah, etc., that we're coming up to, Vayihila Eit Ha'erev, you would think is the beginning, but it's not the beginning. The beginning of Parak Yud Aleph, again, always remember that the numbering system is bunk. It doesn't mean anything from a religious perspective. But we could have read, since we didn't read last time, and it seems to be some kind of a preamble in a way to the story. And so it is at the return of the year, came back around. Something came back around in a cycle. We'll see that soon inside. When the kings go out, presumably to war. Vayishlach David et Yoav ve'et avadav imo ve'et kol Yisrael. Vayashchitu et bnei Amon vayatzuru al Rabbah v'David yoshev b'Yerushalayim. And then Vayihi le'eit ha'erev. So the beginning of Parak Yud Aleph is about grand historical themes. It's about things that are happening. And look at the contrast of where the war is taking place and where David is. Is this the same?
It's Aram, so it's way north?
Ammon. Well, Ammon. Now it's Ammon. Now it's Ammon. So it's east, but I'd say east-northeast. So it's a little bit farther up, but not too much in terms of the latitude. It's a little farther north, but it's not as far north as Aram. And who's there? The chief of staff Yoav is there. All the servants of David are there. David sent them. Where's David? He stayed home. So right there. What do you mean he stayed home? The same David who was going out to war and everything till now, he was prosecuting war and war and war. Why is he home? So I have to come back to that. But there's a question, at least, that he wasn't out at the battlefield.
All the
Wait,
European...
one second. Larry first.
What does it mean, the time when the kings went out to war? makes it sounds like it's like an annual event.
Right, military campaigns always prosecuted in spring and summer. And what did kings busy themselves with? Amassing wealth and fighting wars and running the country.
So this.
In David
this-
Akmal's case,
this
there were other things to it,
was
but.
An annual event.
Or you could say it was the time when military campaigns would happen. They didn't fight the wars in the winter
I guess
because
it was a shot.
it would hamper their ability to make
To move.
war a possibility from a logistical perspective. The roads are muddy, the weather doesn't cooperate, so you wait for a nice day. That's true right into the 20th century, by the way. Wars generally, not always, but generally would be fought on clear days. Now, of course, also clear nights, but then it was mostly only the activity of daytime. And the point is that the world came around again to its year, returned again. Do you see any foreshadowing in Pasuk Bet, Vayhila Eta Erev? I gave that one away. It's at the time of the Erev of the evening. Means Erev means an irbuv is an admixture. That's why I called Erev, right? Erev means the evening, as opposed to a Laila, which is the dead of night. Erev is like Bein Ha'arbayim, we call it Bein Hashmashot, right? Erev really implies something of that nature. So that's one thing. That's one thing. Yeah, Helen, you were waiting. I'm
In
sorry.
medieval Europe, the king or the queen is always right behind the soldiers
Right.
on the battlefield.
Right.
Even the queen,
Okay.
right? So
Not
it's very
here.
unusual.
Here, he's at home. Everybody's out prosecuting a war. He's sitting home. What's he
Isn't that
doing?
giving us a red flag right there.
Pardon?
Isn't that a red flag right there?
Yes. That's correct. That's right. That's part of it right there. And it describes that it was not a small skirmish that was not worthy of the king's presence. It's a major war. We read about this war previously in chapter 10. It's there. He's fighting Aram, and there's also the part about Ammon that's in the middle of the war. This episode that we're going to read, this story is transpiring in the context of wartime. And who is not at the war and on the battlefield, even behind the troops, David HaMelech is at home.
Shaul and Yonatan, they're at the front of the battle.
Right? Anytime in Jewish history, you see it many, many times, the king went out to battle. But here he did not. And you see here, there's a question, why didn't he go out to battle?
How old is he?
Who? David?
David at this time,
This is
as
waiting for
opposed to
idle
Shaul, when he went down. I mean,
I don't
his
know.
age could have something.
He's not old. He's not old. No, by no means is he
It's
old.
not near, it's not near 70.
No, he's not old, no, that's gonna come much later. Remember, he's gonna have, Shlomo's already gonna be basically a grown man when David dies. So when David is 70, Shlomo is already
He's 12.
a man. I'm saying, but he's gonna take over. He's already in that position. So Shlomo is born after this episode.
Maybe he's
So-
tired, maybe he's depressed.
Tired, depressed, could be a lot of different reasons. Yeah, I mean, a lot of different reasons. Doesn't say he was sick. But there's something here about the fact that there's a contrast in Pasuk Aleph, V'David Yoshev B'Yerushalayim. Vayishlach David. David sent them, but he didn't go. Lori, please.
But even the beginning of the pasuk is very unusual. We never hear that expression, "Vayihi l'shuvat hashana," the 8. Like, why didn't it just say, "Vayihi 8 seitan ulachim"? All of
Right.
a sudden, there's this returning.
The returning of the year, of the cycle.
It's very unusual language.
Extremely unusual.
Is it something to do with tshuva? Is it really just actual agricultural cycle return, or not agricultural, but annual cycle return? It's like,
Right.
Why the wording is?
Right. Point well taken. Certainly makes it sound like something cyclical going on. Tshuvat Hashana. I was going to say homiletically, isn't that nice that the story opened with the word tshuva? And wonder if there's something there. I didn't see anyone who says it, but I was also thinking this morning, hey, tshuva, wow. But there's something else here, which is this was a protracted campaign with Ammon against Ammon, and prior to that with Aram. If you remember how we talked about it last time about the north and the south, and it's Yoav and his brother, and they're figuring out who's going to go this way and that way. A pincer movement. We talked about this last week, 2 weeks ago. So the point is that they're already out there. The army is already away from home for an extended period of time, and maybe, as Linda pointed out, maybe he just was not on the battlefield anymore. I don't know, he just didn't go. It's a year. He's going to live out there who's running the country. So maybe that's why he was home. It's not clear. It's not clear. It doesn't tell us. Please.
Okay, in English, it came to pass one evening. Evening's not night, evening's before night.
Right.
So what is he doing arousing from bed?
So that's the next piece. Pasuk bet. Right. Vayhi le'et ha'erev, vayakom David me'al mishkavo. Why is he getting up in the evening? Was he sleeping during the day? So, to be fair, to take a 20th century analogy, only to make this comparison to sort of exonerate David before anyone excoriates him, they say that Sir Winston Churchill actually took naps during the day during World War II. Why? Because he did. And he had to be on call all the time. So he took a nap when he could, every afternoon apparently. He had his siesta, or whatever he called it, I forgot what he called it, he slept. And then he was up late, right? Fine. But on the other side, they're out on the battlefield, and the Navi wants us to know they're out fighting, he's sleeping. They're out putting their lives on the line for the nation, and he's in his bed. He's leisurely taking a nap. So there are those among the Mefarshei Mikra who see this itself as critical of David, that he had no business being in this, in sleeping. Now, then it describes Vayit Halech al Gag Beit HaMelech, Vayar Isha Rochetzet Me'al Hagag, Vayisha Tovat Mar'eh Me'od. So, he sees a woman who is washing herself, according to most of the Mefarshim. She is not on the roof. She's in her house, or wherever she is. According to some, she's getting ready to go to the mikveh, the Gemara says in one place. So he's looking in the window, because the king has the highest house in Ir David. He's the king. Anyone else who lives in the vicinity, he can see in there. That's what it seems to describe. Now, Vayishlach David, Vayidrosh la'isha, Vayomer, Halo zot bat Sheva bat Eliam, Eshet Uriah HaChiti. So David sends to find out about this woman. Who does he send? Doesn't say, but he sent someone. And this person, whoever it is, came back and told him who this was. Pasuk Daled. Vayishlach David malachim vayikacheha vatavo elav vayishkav ima v'hi mitkadeshet mitum'atah vatashov el beitah. So, there it is, in one pasuk, the whole thing. He sent emissaries. He took her, and she came to him. They slept. She slept, or he slept with her, and then she is after the fact. It describes that she has purified herself from her impurity, and she goes back to her household. She had previously done so. I ask you one before we take any questions? Is there a verb that keeps being repeated here from the beginning of this parak until now already? This must be the third or fourth time. Rav Amnon Bazak pointed this out. What's the verb? Sending. He's sending emissaries. Everything's at arm's length. He's not with the army. He's not going to find out. He sees from afar. He sends the messenger. He sends for her. And we'll see that theme of sending, Vatar ha'isha pasuk hey, Vatar ha'isha v'tishlach v'tgeilu David, Vatumar hara anochi. So she becomes pregnant, and what does she do? She sends. Who? We don't know. She sends a message. And the message is, and she says to David, I am expecting, I'm pregnant. Hara anochi. Vayishlach David el Yoav. Shlach Elai et Uriah HaChiti. Vayishlach Yoav et Uriah el David. You see the shlach, sending. Everybody's sending things to everybody else. Nobody is actually having an open conversation. Everything is under the radar. But in all of the sending, there's a people trail.
Yeah.
Isn't there? Someone had to go to the house to find out who that is. Someone had to go get her. Someone had to get the message back from her to him. Someone had to send for Uriah. Someone did it. So who's this? We don't know.
But it also means it's not secret. There are other people that are aware.
It means it's not secret. Right. Larry, please.
Also, Gimel, the response of who is this woman is not an affirmative statement, it's a
The
question.
question.
Right. Isn't that? Yeah. It's not an affirmative statement. It seems to be, it's some kind of a question. Isn't that? Halo zot? Oh, isn't that? So is she somehow known to the retinue of the king? Is she known to the court? Is she known to David somehow? What do you mean halozot?
Well, who says Vayomer? Is it David or is that the messenger?
According to Radak, it's David himself saying it. Either he figured it out, but it's after he sent someone to find out who she is. According to the Barbanel, it's the Shaliach who tells him this. So, any way you slice it, the king is not, what's the word? You could say that it wasn't recorded, but there were people on the line.
We assume that
There are people listening in. This is not just like, something happened and nobody knows. There's all sorts of people who know.
There's also the contrast, and I don't mean it to be funny, but it's gonna sound funny,
Okay.
of everything being at arm's length except, and the one thing that's not
You're
at
right.
arm's length.
That's funny. Right,
Yes,
right, okay, fine, good. Fine.
presumably Uriah Hiti did not convert.
Okay, so there's a big question about who is Uriah HaChiti. What does it mean that he is a Chiti? Does it mean that he never converted to Judaism, question mark? Or does it mean that since his name is Uriah, does it mean somehow that he's born of the ancestry of the Chitim, but he's converted to Judaism?
Is that like?
And now he is known as the Hittite because that's where he came from.
Plus,
Like Doeg HaAdomi or Adomi, right? Or something like that. There is a question though here about it, and in Dat Mikra there is a supposition that perhaps he came from the world of the B'nai Chet. He's converted to Judaism, and that's why his name might have been some kind of Hittite name, Aleph Resh Vav Vav.